Warning. The following video contains strong language that some viewers may find offensive or disturbing.
What do you remember hating the most being a child? People making fun of me, grown up included. This is a big one for me too. It seems like the previous generation of adults loved to tease and make fun of us. I think maybe they thought we would grow up with thick skin. It doesn't work. Along that same vein, when adults would tickle and wrestle with me until I felt scared and overwhelmed was probably my most hated thing about being a kid. I had an uncle that would pinch my nose so hard it would make my eyes water. I hated it so much. Some adults are so immature. Edit, I'm glad we could talk about this issue. I had no idea so many people shared my anxiety about being pinched and tickled. Let's do better for our kids. I had a father who would make fun of anything I was remotely interested in or passionate about. He also used those things to create punishments. If I let my dad know I enjoyed something, it would be first on his list to threaten to take away whenever he got mad. Thanks, Dad. When you went to a family friend's house and you were playing with their children and then your parents said it's time to go, so you'd go and stand by them, but then the adults would remain talking for another half an hour, but you couldn't go play with the kids because you were about to go, so you had to listen to adult talk whilst staring at the coffee table. Edit, wow, thanks for the replies. It's sad to see I wasn't the only one who had to endure this violation of human rights as a child. A lot of people have asked if I'm from the Midwest or Latino, and the answer's no, I'm Australian. But it's very common here. I remember the absolute worst one was when I stayed overnight at my friend's house for his birthday and we were watching this new Pokémon series he had gotten for his birthday. Then my mom came and picked me up half an hour early and I had to sit in my friend's sister's room, listening to mine and his mom talk about their childhood and ghost stories for an hour while my friend watched Pokémon in the living room. False accusations, but when you try to defend yourself you get told to shut up, or even worse, you get punished further. I am an adult. And you are a child. How could I be wrong at all? I remember this so much. So frustrating. The lack of freedom. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things that I wanted to. I relate to this. But my lack of freedom wasn't because my parents had a lot of strict rules or anything. It was just that we lived in the middle of buttfuck nowhere and my mom hated driving, so I felt guilty asking her to take me places. Sad face. The cruelty of other kids. +1 for that, mate. Sorry you experienced it as well. It got better for me. Hopefully for you too. One of the craziest realizations I had was when I talked to my friend's mom about the bullying I was going through. She told me that she grew up with the parents of every single child who was saying and doing mean things to me. She said that their parents were never bright in school. They were lazy, and just not good people in general. She said it wasn't surprising to her that their kids grew up to be little versions of their parents. She said they were just a product of their environment. Ever since she told me that, I felt sad for them every time they bullied me. Sad that their parents never provided them with the opportunity to be better. Edit, I asked his mom what happened to the nice people from her class. And she just said they went to college, got really good jobs, and moved far away from our shitty little town. Going to bed when other kids are still playing outside. Oh my god. This sucks so much. I would have to eat dinner and go to bed while my friends were still playing video games. At 11 years my bedtime was 7:30. It sucked the most when there was a TV program that you wanted to watch that was on too late. I remember so many times asking my friends at recess to tell me what happened because it was on past my bedtime. Being talked down to, or people laughing at me when I was telling them something serious. That phrase, "We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you." But I wasn't fucking laughing at all. Like when people do some dumb ass prank on you. And you get angry and they are like, "Chill dude. It's just for fun." Yeah, but it wasn't fun at all, you dipshit. That my feelings didn't matter. If I was feeling anything other than happy, I had to get over it. If I was crying, I was ordered to stop or get something worth crying over. I hate as an adult now. Seeing other adults ask a kid what is wrong. Kid opens up and then the kid gets made fun of for it being a stupid reason. Then poor kid gets drilled about how they don't know what a hard life is. They're dramatic, etc. I hate that shit. I don't know if hate is really the right word. But when I was really little, I was terrified of my dad. My earliest memories of him are being woken up in the middle of the night when he got home, smacked around a bit, and sent off to bed again without so much as an explanation. "You know what you did," he would say, but of course I didn't. Because why would I ask if I already knew? I put a ton of work into trying to keep him happy and not pissing him off. But it didn't always work. I say hate might be the wrong word because I didn't really know better back then. I didn't start hating him until I met kids and parents that had better relationships. Which wasn't until high school. Until then, that was just how it was and I didn't really question it. Same with me, I was always afraid of my dad. It was always so tense when he was home. And I only ever felt calm when he was gone. I remember once when I was 12 I spent the night crying because he was coming back from one of his trips the next day. He would punch me whenever I did something he didn't like. Once I tossed him a candy bar that I saved from my Halloween candy for him, and he slapped me across the face because he didn't appreciate me throwing shit at him. I spent most of my life in my room because I was made fun of at school and had no friends. I guess it was too obvious how desperate I was to have one. He always made fun of me when I was with him. He would take me fishing and call me bitch because I was sad we didn't catch anything. He'd laugh at me and call me dramatic when I tried to tell him about the bullying. What makes me mad today is that he is going to a therapist. Because his dad treated him the same. And that now he tells me loves me. And that he's proud of me. But I hate him. I won't ever trust him ever. I moved 2 states away from him. And all he ever talks about is how he wishes I would visit. I hate it. How can he expect to have the best of both worlds? The complete obedience of a kid who is afraid of you. And then friendship of the kid. As if nothing happened. If you want to be my friend now, you should have been there when I needed you. I had nobody. What scares me today is that I sometimes act like him. I treat people badly and hurt people. So that's why I can't have kids. Because I can't live with the idea of my kid hating me like I hate my dad. Living in a house with just one bathroom and so many people. Seemed like someone was always using the toilet or the shower when others needed use of the room. That's why you just go use whatever is available at the same time. I did this. I was the only girl in my siblings. We seemed to have a trust in each other not to peek when one of us were showering. To this day, all but my dad still leaves the door unlocked when we shower. Just so anyone who needs to wash their hands or use he mirror can. For me, always just made sure my eyes was open and ready to spray anyone who decided to open the curtains of the bathtub or glass door to the shower box. I think all the kids did this. I remember when my brothers as a kid when my mom woke us all up to go pee in the middle of the night. 2 of my brothers just peed at the same time in the toilet. Saves a flush anyways, aha, and they were both boys. Family gatherings. Had a large extended family as an Indian and there would gatherings and functions almost every week. Coming of age, housewarming, marriage, first birthdays called for gatherings between 100-2,000 people. You had to dress up and meet people that apparently cleaned your snot as a baby expecting you to remember that they did so. It was horrid. Kinda miss it now though. Not getting explanations for things I asked about. XA0 My parents and extended family were good-hearted people. But none of them were very intellectually minded. So when I had questions about how things in the world were supposed to work or operate, the answers were frequently unsatisfying. Ranging somewhere between, because it just is, to, I don't know. Single quote dot. And I don't know was sadly never followed up with. But let's find out. I have of course overcompensated with my own children on this to a fault. As my eldest son said, I'm afraid to ask you what time it is. Because then you'll want to teach me how to build a clock. Single quote. Adults not taking me seriously when I'd say I was full, needed a wee, didn't feel well. We don't tell adults they have to eat if they're full or to just hold it if they need the loo. Getting chastised for falling down accidentally and getting scrapes. Ended up hiding one because of fear and got a permanent scar from it not healing properly. What I remember most was some adults not treating me like a human being just because I was a child. I try so hard with my own kids to step back and treat them as fellow humans and not just children. A 4-year-old needs their own space and gets frustrated and gets angry in exactly the same way I do. They just don't have the vocabulary and awareness to express it. My job is to help them express it, validate it and teach them how to deal with it. Not just to tell them to stop whining. As a young child, my mother forcing me into social situations despite my extreme shyness. She always hated the fact I was shy. As a teen, my grades were never good enough. Even if I had an A, it could always be a higher A. If my grades dropped to a low B, I would be drug tested and she would tell me she was surprised when I came back clean. Being made to eat foods that I couldn't stomach or which were in amounts that were too much for me to handle. You can't leave the table until you finish everything on your plate. I hated wasting food, but I developed clever ways of sneaking unwanted food away and disposing of it without a trace. Thankfully, my parents didn't pull the "there are starving people in Africa" routine. Because my answer would have been, "So give it to them." Single quote. My dad was a drunk with opinions. He would keep me and my brother up till late and scream lectures at us about history or ethics or how much he hated our mom. He would wake me up in the middle of the night and talk at me for hours. If we got an answer on Jeopardy wrong that we should have known. Lecture. Such angry, drunken lectures. He would throw things at us. Hit us on the head to wake us up. I hated it so much. He died of liver failure when I was 17 and 22 years later I can say him dying was the best thing to happen to me. Being so sad that I wanted to kill myself. But being too young to know how suicide works. Instead I cried under a tree and begged God to make me dead. We had a neighbor and her sister over. The younger sibling was hitting me with a belt. Which sounds bad but it was very soft. Didn't hurt at all and just made a funny noise. Of course it made me mad so I grabbed the belt and slapped her with it. Had a massive welt on her back. The mother showed me the next day and I felt so bad I was gonna commit suicide by shoving a pencil through my chest. Prob wouldn't have worked anyway. A child's remorse is greater than most adults. Children can't understand what their emotions are or what they mean. Being abused. And if I stood up for myself I would be kicked out. Then when I would go stay at a friend's they would make me come back home. Rinse repeat. The fact that no one ever liked me unless it was convenient for them. I was nothing but a burden for everyone around me. I was constantly abused emotionally at home and abused emotionally and physically at school. No one cared about me. Feeling like I am invisible. When I don't want to be but want to be and can't. When my dad asks everyone's opinion, gets to me and just jumps over to the next person or goes on about what he thinks. Even in one-to-one conversations. Why do people even ask then? Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.